for coming to this lecture by Professor Yasu-Hiko Tohsaku. And I'm delighted to introduce him to you. He's a professor at the School of International Relations and Pacific Studies at University of California, San Diego, where he received his PhD in linguistics. And his current research interests are language pedagogy, assessment, and policy. He spent time at Tsukuba, Waseda, and Nanzan universities as a visiting professor. And currently, he's the director of the Graduate School of International Relations and Pacific Studies language program. And of course, he's the director of undergraduate Japanese language program. He's very well known for his very popular textbook called Yokoso, Invitation to Contemporary Japanese, and he's written a sequel to that, continuing with contemporary Japanese. And also he's co-authored a book called Doraemon no Dokodemo Nihongo, meaning Japanese anywhere according to Doraemon. Okay, sounds very interesting. Okay, he's co-authored many books and general editing. And his most recent publication is Nippon 300 no Shohosen. Okay, I'll ask him to translate later. Okay, and he recently has been involved with the professional development of English, Chinese, Korean, and other foreign languages teachers in Japan. He's been directing several programs, and the list goes on and on. So I just want to say that our connection with Professor Tohsaku, with the university, comes from the Japanese Global Articulation Project. It's called the JGAP, a global project he is supervising. He has been supervising. And it's organized by the Global Network of Associations of Japanese Language Teachers in the World. They have chosen the state of Virginia, the only site in the USA for this global venture. So I think I understand there are 9, 10 sites all over the world, but in the USA, Virginia is the only site. And our Japanese lecturers, Tomoko Basho, Mieko Kawai, and Tomomi Sato, have been the proud participants of the ongoing JGAP, giving lectures and workshops in Virginia and beyond. And we'd like to welcome Professor Tohsaku to UVA, the Thomas Jefferson University today, who is giving a lecture on path to 21st century competency through foreign language learning. So welcome, Professor Tohsaku.
Thank you very much for such a nice introduction. Can you hear me? Today, the title of my talk is Path to the 21st Century Competencies Through Foreign Language Learning. Originally, I put a Path to the 21st Century Success Through Foreign Language Learning, but I changed it later on. And the conclusion of this talk is foreign language instruction is or provides us with a very important means to make you successful in the 21st century. And so now I told you conclusion, so if you are busy, you can leave now. And I would be happy if you stay on. Anyway, today, first of all, I would like to talk about globalized world, 21st century world. In what way society we are living now, and then what kind of issues we are faced with, and in order to solve those issues, what kind of skills, knowledge, and qualities we should have. And of course, my conclusion is foreign language classroom is an important place to provide you with opportunities to gain necessary knowledges, skills, and qualities or qualifications to survive in the 21st century or to successfully live in the 21st century. But in order to do so, our language teacher, we language teachers should not stick with the traditional model of foreign language instructions. We have to innovate our foreign language instruction. And I would like to discuss in this order. We are in the universities and where we are faculty members and where probably the majority of you are students. But what kind of a mission do universities have, especially research universities like yours or mine? You know, through research, teaching and community services or social services, we would like to contribute to the development of society. We would like to better society or improve society so that people can live more comfortably and peacefully. And through teaching, we would like to create students who can be a really productive citizen of the United States or in the global world, and you can contribute to the society. Our society has so many problems, and we would like to have create students after our graduation who can contribute to the society and to improve this complicated society. So that's our mission. This mission is unchanged for a long time. Maybe in 19th century, university's mission was same. 20th century, same. And now we are living in 21st century, but the mission might be same. And I will quote John Dewey many times, actually to be exact, 3 times today. John Dewey is really famous education specialist. He is already there, but he was teaching at Indiana University, and in education field, he is a really famous person. He said, education is not a preparation for life or preparation for the future. Education is life itself. So our education, including language education, must reflect the society outside the classroom, so that when you go out of our classroom, you can survive in the society. And also, as I mentioned, you should be able to contribute to the society and make the society better. We should create that kind of a student. And so now already we are 15th year of the 21st century, and I feel so bad. Already 2015, and I am still talking about 21st century competencies. Already I think all the education for 21st century is set and implemented, and we are giving a 21st century type of education. But the reason that I'm talking about this is still we are behind. We have not implemented 21st century foreign language education, and we have to do so. So that's why I'm talking about 21st century. And what is a 21st century society like? And many people say, it's a globalized world, or globalization is going on. Maybe, globalization is one of the characteristics of 21st century. And then my question is, what is globalization? There are many definitions of globalization, and probably there is no definitive one. Maybe many of you read this book, The World is Flat, where this is written by Thomas Friedman. He is a New York Times columnist. He is a really famous columnist, and maybe some of you read this book or his articles. And this is kind of most important book about the globalization, published in 1969 or no, 2006 or 7. And so in this book, let me give you 2 examples. He said, when Thomas Friedman was a kid, his parents told him, Tom, you have to eat up your food. Kids in China and India don't have things to eat. So you should eat everything. And now Thomas Friedman tells his daughter, I don't know her daughter's name, but anyway, finish your homework. Kids were in India and China try to steal your job. So this is not what I said. Thomas Friedman said. And, according to his writing, this is a kind of typical difference between 20th century and 21st century. And in this way, Thomas Friedman's book, he quoted Bill Gates, that Microsoft guy. And according to Bill Gates, during the 20th century, American average kids who are born in upstate New York, average house, will become or make more money than kids who are born in poor village, genius kids who are born in poor village in India or China. I don't know why they quote always refer to India or China, but that's what Bill Gates said. However, 21st century, those genius kids who are born in a poor village of India or China eventually will become happier at the end of life than American average kids who are born in upstate New York average house. According to Bill Gates, that's the difference between 20th century and 21st century. And Thomas Friedman says, the reason this difference took place is because the world is getting smaller and smaller. Thanks to the advance of internet and technology, once some information is created, that information transmitted or go to the behind the south hemisphere or Africa immediately. During the 20th century, it took time. So something happened in the United States, and then that information maybe took 2 days to reach Africa. But now someone tweet immediately, in France or in Africa, people read with that. So you can share the information really easily. So during the 20th century, so-called advanced countries like United States, Japan, and England come up with new ideas. They can monopolize that new idea. And takes many years until that idea or technology transferred to Africa or Latin America. However, during the 21st century, that kind of advanced technology and information immediately transferred to the other parts of the world, and they can learn new things, and they can do the same thing as advanced countries. So, for example, this is a call center in the Philippines. I always use United Airlines. So, whenever I have a problem with buying a ticket, I call United Airlines. And then someone answers. And they speak like a Californian English. But sometimes I feel like this person is not a Californian. So I ask, where are you located? And they say, Manila. And before call centers in India, but now almost all call centers move to the Philippines because the labor cost is cheaper in the Philippines than India. So this kind of job moves looking for the cheaper labor. So when I came to the United States and I buy clothes made in Japan or made in Korea or made in China, and now if you buy shirts or T-shirts or something like that, many of them say made in Bangladesh. Because the labor cost of Bangladesh is 1/5 or 1/7 of China. So those were manufacturing were moved away from China to Bangladesh. And the reason why Bangladesh can create or manufacture the same way clothes as the United States did before is information goes to Bangladesh very fast. They can learn and they can make the same thing at a cheaper labor cost. So it's really tough for the United States. We lost many manufacturing jobs in the United States because of the labor cost. And where economy is really competitive now, and where the reason why United States will have a really problem is labor cost, and people don't work for cheap, and so manufacturing jobs will go to Bangladesh, to China, and Vietnam, and so on. And so it's really tough age or period for former advanced countries, because formerly developing countries can do the same thing as advanced countries at a cheaper labor cost. And so actually the situation is really tougher for you than people in China or in Bangladesh. And if this is the statistics published by the Labor Department of Labor in the United States. According to them, during the 20th century, average Americans did 1 or 2 jobs in their lifespan. Now, during the 21st century, average Americans do 10 or 15 jobs between age 18 and 38. So only in 20 years, we will do 10 or 15 different jobs. The reason is we are losing jobs to Bangladesh or China. And if you don't have any specialized skills, you will lose your job and you have to look for different jobs. And that's why you have to do many different jobs. And also, thanks to the advancement of technology and robot, many jobs were done by human beings are now done by robots and computers. So fire human beings and use robot or computers. That's why you have to look for job. According to a study at Duke University, 60% of jobs current elementary American elementary school kids will do after their college graduation, 60% do not exist yet. Newly created jobs. We don't know what kind of jobs will be created. For example, can you imagine 5 years ago there is a job like YouTubers? YouTubers were, I think top YouTubers make $1 million, $2 million a year. Just uploading YouTube, make $1 million or $2 million. I'm thinking, why am I here? Or 10 years ago, can you imagine there is a job like bloggers? Some people write bloggers and making money more than us. And so new jobs are created, but all the types of jobs, simple skilled jobs, are going away. And so new jobs are created. That's the 21st century. And 2 years ago, Harvard Business School guy wrote this book where average is over. Probably now in the United States where middle class is shrinking. That is true with Japan. Rich people and poor people divide is getting wider and wider, and middle class is shrinking. And another thing where average is over is those who have average skills cannot get a job. That's another reason why middle class is shrinking. People are getting poorer and poorer if you don't have special skills. That's the 21st century. So I already mentioned this morning to Japanese language students that 20th century was good. And 21st century is really difficult time to live successfully. So I always tell my students, 21st century was like an elevator. If you're making an effort, your position is gradually going up, your salary is gradually going up. At the end, you will reach at certain point. Maybe not high, but higher than your original position. And at the end, when you get retired and you have a good pension until you die, you have a comfortable life. That's not possible anymore in the 21st century. And 21st century is a moving walkway. How far you are going, moving where walkways won't go up. Same position. How hard you work, you don't reach the goal. So there is a big difference between 20th century and 21st century. And during the 20th century, if you make an effort, work hard, you can gain certain level of success. However, during the 21st century, the society or world is really hard to live, and so there is no guarantee for success. Even if you work hard, there is a strong chance, strong possibility you will fail. That's the 21st century. And so, for example, according to some prediction, by year 2030, occupations such as taxi driver, cab driver will be gone. The reason is, as you know, Google has been developing a driverless car. So now, like people are saying by 2030, there will be no cab driver. Everything is automatic, and no driver is needed. So those were people who are driving yellow cabs now, they will lose their job. And also travel agent. How many of you are using real human, travel agents now? Do you buy tickets online? Do you use? But your travel agent will lose your job soon. So you should get used to online reservation. By year 2025, job where travel agent will be gone. And also parking lady, their job will be gone. That's great for me, but and we don't need such, robot will do. And also amazing thing is air traffic controller, they will lose their job by year 2030. Everything will be done computers. Safer, secure. Computers won't make any mistake. Human beings will make a mistake. So air traffic, it's amazing. I said average is over. I thought the air traffic controller is not an average person. They have special skills, but their job is gone. And because driverless car and also drones, and now Amazon is thinking to deliver by using drones. So delivery type of jobs will be all gone. Pizza delivery kids, I'm sorry, you don't have any job anymore. Drones will deliver pizza to your house. So now U.S. military is using a lot of drones and bomb Afghanistan or other places. Who is controlling? People, military people in Las Vegas is maneuver, drones in Afghanistan and bomb. And so in the future, no human, soldiers. All robots will do fighting for you. Maybe that's a good news for human beings. But I will tell you, by year 2050, there is no airline pilots. All airlines, planes are pilotless. Computer will do. Now a drone can, do everything. So why do we need a human pilots? And according to BBC predicted by year 2050, there will be no airline pilots. I thought the airline pilots has a special skills, not the average person. But such a people as a pilots will lose a job by 2050. That's the 21st century. And looks like this is really convenient to a society, but these new items create new problems you have to solve. For example, driverless car. If you have a car accident, who will pay insurance? There is no driver who buys insurance. So if there is accident, car manufacturers are paying insurance and pay for accident. This is a really big issue for industries. And also drones were the other day where drone went to White House, and now people are discussing whether do we need a license to use drones and so on. We never thought about that, but the new issues we never imagined to have are coming out. And the robots will do everything. And here, making pancakes. And in Japan, where sushi bar, robots were making a sushi. And so robot will do many things. And really alarming thing is, according to BBC, by year 2090, robots will create their own companies and become a president or CEO. And they will hire human beings. I'm not telling a lie or joking. And actually, in the Congress in Washington, D.C., they started with, legislating so that a robot won't have so much power. When you make a robot, you have to limit their power so that this is kind of science fiction, but that will happen. So, U.S. government is trying to limit the power of a robot. Otherwise, they will, control human beings. And in the future, robot will become the U.S. president. I'm not kidding. And also 3D printers. And by using 3D printers, you can make a gun by using plastic. That gun, when you go to airport and the security thing, won't alarm because plastic. So now United States government is trying to make a new legislation that when you make a 3D, by using a 3D printer, when you make a gun, you have to put some metals so that make a noise when you go to airport. And also the other day I saw on CNN, 3D printers making a birthday cake. So if you would like to become a cake maker, you won't have your job in the future. 3D printers will make cakes for you. And also now 3D fax. Have you ever 3D fax? If you would like to send something, not a paper, you will put some 3D materials in your fax machine, and the fax machine will make some kind of computer program and send by telephone line or internet. And this way, receiver side of 3D computers, you will add cakes, powder, or plastic, 3D things shows up. I thought this was things in science fiction, but it's not science fiction. It's a reality now. And according to some research, I don't know how they did this research, but if the technology advances at the rate of 2012, during the 21st century, 100 years, technology advances were 20,000 years worth of 2012. So I always talk with my wife, this kind of thing never happens while we are alive. Now it's happening because technologies advance is so fast. before we said technology advances dog years, so 4 or 5 years in 1 year. Now we're 20,000 years in 100 years. So technology is advancing so fast. Another way, characteristic of the 21st century is we have so much information. 500 billion gigabytes. What is that? This is the amount of information human beings created from the beginning of human history to up to 2003. Now, 3 years ago, human beings produced this amount of information in 10 days. Last year, in 2 days. Now, this year, in 10 days. Because human beings were all the time creating new information, and you are using social networking service and so on. This is a website which shows how much information is created by social networking service. This is a real network website. I think a couple of months ago, I just copied or this one. And if we look at here, just look at YouTube. In 1 minute, people in the world, upload 88 hours worth of YouTube videos in 1 minute. I will tell you, 4 years ago, I checked. At that time, in 1 minute, 25 hours worth. 3 years ago, I checked 55 hours worth. Last year, 68 hours worth of videos uploaded on YouTube. 2 months ago, 88. So that's why it's natural. I think it's okay to do, the amount of information human beings created from the beginning of history to 2003 are created every 2 minutes now. And so we are surrounded with a whole bunch of information. And 75% of information are created by individuals, not the universities or government or organizations. Probably, are you using Twitter or Facebook? Maybe you are part of this information overflow. I should not say overflow, but 75%. So you are uploading a lot of private information on the net, and it's really difficult to delete. So now like to forget. Have you heard? People in Europe asked Google to erase some information. And if you write a terrible tweet, and when you look for job, your future employer search, oh, this person made this kind of terrible tweet, so we want to hire her. We want to hire him. And so before you get to a job, you ask Google to delete that tweet. You have to do that. This is a Google map. Probably you use Google map quite often. Before coming here, I just checked Google map and Charlottesville. And if you look at Google map, I think now at the bottom part, there is a traffic. If you push click traffic, they will show these red and yellow and green lines. So red lines, traffic congestion. Yellow line, probably very slow. Green part going really fast. And Tokyo or Charlottesville or New York or San Francisco or Paris or London, almost all major cities. I don't know Charlottesville is a major cities, but anyway, they will show this traffic things. Do you know how Google will get this information? Do they call a traffic center in New York? Where Google owns cell phone, Android cell phone. So when you buy Android cell phone or smartphone, you have to register with Google. And usually you use a Google address, and also you will tell how old and what kind of occupation you have, and those kind of things. Google, if you have an Android or a smartphone, Google has all of your information. Who owns this smartphone? So Google, what Google is doing is checking the speed of Android or smartphones every place. You have a Google smartphone and driving. Google knows that this is Jennifer's smartphone, and her smartphone is now driving 55 miles an hour. So let's put a green here. Now, John's Android smartphone is driving at 10 miles an hour. So let's put red. So you are uploading or giving away a lot of private information. Google knows what movie you watched, and Google knows where you are. And probably if you look at advertisement on the internet, how does he know I will go to Charlottesville? Once I decided to come here, I get a lot of advertisement of hotels in Charlottesville. I didn't tell Google, but I use Google, mail, Gmail. So this is called digital breadcrumbs. So when you use smartphones, submit articles or blog or whatever, you are dropping breadcrumbs. So they know, or someone knows, where you are, where you went. And collecting these information called big data. So now big data is really important for companies and even for human beings. By looking at big data we're collecting from you, you can predict many different things. And so if you use Facebook and you go to other people's Facebook and put I like. If you collect information where you put I like, we can tell what hobbies you have, what kind of mentality you have, what kind of personality you have. This is a digital breadcrumb. And without knowing, you are giving a lot of data. So during the 20th century, we never imagined this kind of thing happens. So there is a big difference between 20th century and 21st century. This is a summary of what I said just now. But the important thing is the 20th century was really stable and predictable century. On the other hand, 21st century is a chaotic and a lot of uncertainty about your future. Your future really uncertain. What will happen? We don't know. And so that's a really big difference. And 21st century has many problems 20th century people didn't expect. Like a public health, Ebola virus issue, and climate change is a big challenge for us. And as I discussed this morning, what kind of energy source we should use. Security issue like cyber security, terrorism. Now, Japanese journalist is held hostage. We never imagined that kind of thing happens. And cultural, economic, political disagreement, food shortage, and human trafficking. One thing I would like to, I think, refer to address is many of these issues are transnational, taking place across the borders, national borders. So in order to solve these issues and challenges, you have to work with people from other countries. For that reason, foreign language education is really important. And in order to solve these issues, I think 21st century society, where I already discussed, and need a different set of knowledge, abilities, and skills to survive compared with the 20th century. I discussed this way in the morning, but these are called 21st century competencies or 21st century skills. And several organizations came up with a list of 21st century skills, but knowledge on current complex social issues, you have to have a really good critical thinking skills and problem solving skills, creativity, innovativeness, problem solving I already mentioned, decision making skills, initiative, flexibility, collaboration, and various literature, cross-cultural communication skills, and also cultural code switching skills. If I have time, I will discuss this way, code switching skills. And innovation skills and grit. I discussed this way during lunchtime today, but grit, as I mentioned, 21st century, you have a lot of possibility to fail, but you have to be patient, and even if you fell down, you have to stand up again. So grit is really important for you. And lifelong learning skills and curiosity, desire to learn new things, because you will lose your job quite easily and get a new job, and so you have to gain new skills. Otherwise, you won't survive. Another thing is, our lifespan is getting longer and longer and longer. Before, 55 years old was retirement age, and you have a good pension, so you can survive the rest of your life. But now, probably when you become 60 years old or 70 years old, the average lifespan of American people will become over 90s. So if you quit your job at the age of 60, how do you survive rest of 30 years? Maybe, America, United States have a social security programs. You don't have a good pension. So maybe you have to work until age 80. Now, McDonald's or those kind of hamburger joints hire many senior citizens. Maybe after I finish my job as a university professor, I have to apply McDonald's job. I expect that. But that's the 21st century. And one thing I would like to mention to you is, in the world of K through 12 education, public school education from kindergarten to high school, educational goals have been changing. In olden days, when I was a kid, educational goal was acquisition of subject knowledge, acquisition of history knowledge, acquisition of biology knowledge. But then, probably during 70s, 80s, educational goal was shifted. Application of these knowledges to real world became the primary goal of education. Now, after 2000, 21st century, the most important goal of K through 12 education is to impart 21st century skills through the education of individual subject. So in high school or in elementary school or in Japanese language classroom, use Japanese as a tool and impart 21st century skills, critical thinking skills, creativity, and so on. So now, education goals are shifting. And United States, if you go to K through 12 public schools, already this trend started. And if you go to Europe, already this trend. And Japan is kind of behind with the schedule, but 5 years from now, their education's goal, main goal, will become the teaching 21st century skills. So are we giving you appropriate skills where you can use outside the university? You cannot read, so I will highlight just one couple of things. Employees give college graduate students low scores for preparedness across learning outcomes. Students think they are better prepared. So they did a survey with employers and newly graduated students. Do you have this skill? And there is a big gap where, about the perception between employers and newly graduated college students. For example, collaboration and teamwork. Students think, I am well prepared for collaboration skills in the society, 64%. But employer says only 37% of newly graduated students have this way, skills. And oral communication, 28%, 62%. Students are overconfident. And critical thinking, 26, 66. Foreign languages, 16, 34. I feel so bad as a language teacher. And awareness of diverse cultures outside the US, 15% and 42%. Are you ready for the global world? And so again, as a mission of a university, we are obliged to train you so that you can function effectively and successfully when you go outside society. But it looks like we are not doing a good job, even as a foreign language teacher. So again, John Dewey said, if we teach today's students as we taught yesterday's, we rob them of tomorrow. So probably University of Virginia is different, but if you go outside the University of Virginia, this is a typical classroom, teacher-centered. Teacher's knowledge will transmit from her or his brain to students' brain. That's the way we have been teaching. This was teacher-centered teaching approach were created during 18th century in France. Still, we are using the same approach. Society changed, but we have been using the same teaching approach. And so I think 20th century education should be like we should implement a model to prepare children or young people like you for the 21st century society. We have to make you more creative, agile thinking, or thinker, collaborative team worker, flexible worker, critical thinker, problem solver, and those kind of things. And today, many of you are students, so I won't go into the detail. But now in education field, there are many types of new teaching approaches proposed. For example, project-based learning, problem-solving learning, passion-based learning, thematic approach, and so on. And also now, because of the advancement of technology, flipped classroom, I mentioned briefly this morning, and also gamification. You will learn new things through gaming, doing games. This is a really new things, or very popular things actually, in education now. And so again, this is the last time I quote John Dewey. Give the pupils something to do, not something to learn. And the doing is of such a nature as to demand thinking. Learning naturally results. So rather than teacher stands like me here and give information to students, let the students do something on their own. That way you can learn new things more efficiently and more effectively than teacher-centered teaching. That's a new trend of education. And last year at my institution, UCSD, I started offering a project-based Japanese language class. In this course, totally student-centered. Teacher gives some direction and coordinate activities, but the majority of jobs are initiated by students. We will give a driving question to solve. And students do their own research by using Japanese in group work. So they will develop collaboration abilities. And at the end, after we're interviewing Japanese people through a Skype or direct face-to-face interview, they will come up with a solution to the question. Last year, we asked, how will you improve English language education in Japan? So students came up with many creative ideas. Maybe some are feasible and others are not feasible. But by doing so, students use Japanese and think. They can develop critical thinking skills. So helping them to develop 21st century skills. And it was really successful. And this is quite famous English professor, especially English writing. Richard Miller, he is a faculty member at Rutgers University in New Jersey. He says, the practice of humanity, language learning is a humanities too, is not admiration of greatness or appreciation or depth knowledge or scholarly achievement. So, it's important to read Genji Monogatari, story of Genji, tale of Genji, and appreciate, but that's not the final goal of humanities, he says. It's about the movement between different worlds and balancing. It's making connections that count. So, the final purpose or goal of education is making connections with something you have never met or you have never seen. That's the goal of education. That's where he is, and I agree with him. So value of language learning is making connections. Connections with other individuals, even classmates. Information, items, communities, cultures, nations, thoughts, academic contents. If you are in Japanese classroom, maybe you will connect your Japanese language learning with history class, or business class, or economics class. And fact research result cultural products and practices. So when I studied English, education goal of my English learning was learning grammar and vocabulary. And then after I graduated, education goal included acquisition of functional skills, so you can use English in real society. Now I would like to say, in addition to learning acquisition, we have to help students to connect with other people, participate in real society, and can function. That's the final goal of foreign language education. So when I was a kid, the goal was to know grammar and vocabulary, and then changed to do something by using English grammar. And now I think by using Japanese language in your case, connect with other people, connect with other world, connect with other, I think society and so on. So before we emphasized what we should teach or how we should teach, but now we should emphasize why we should teach. In your case, why you should study Japanese, why you should study Chinese, Japanese. So think why you are learning. Not only Japanese, but if you are taking economics, why do you want to study economics? This why, think why is really important to make your learning efficient. And so value of language education. Language classroom can provide an environment in which children develop a set of knowledge, abilities, and skills necessary for living in the 21st century. And I think foreign language classrooms, including Japanese and Chinese language classroom, will give you really, really optimal situation or conditions to study, to develop 21st century skills, especially working with people from other countries, diverse cultural background. And so I think it's really good time to make a change. We have to change how we teach foreign languages, how we teach to you. Otherwise, we won't survive 21st century because we are filled with so many complicated issues and challenges. 4:30, but this was started probably 5 minutes late, so let me talk about this, and I will end my talk, and I will have a discussion with you. I put medical science, and I said now computers and robots can do many things where human beings have been doing. And I talked with a faculty member from a medical school, and he is a really famous medical surgeon. And he said, things where doctors are doing now will be done by computers and robots in the future, even surgery. And so probably medical school should change. And probably future medical students should go to mathematics department rather than medical school. Why? Big data. Now Google is developing a technology in which a doctor will put a nano element, so really small invisible element in our blood vessel, and that's moved. And then we wear Apple Watch or wearable devices, and with that nano elements are moving our body, collect data from our body, and put into wearable watch, and this is connected to hospitals through internet. So all patients or regular people's data coming from wearable device to hospitals, and then doctors' job is to analyze those data. In order to analyze those data, statistics really important. Whether you study Japanese or history or whatever, you have to study statistics. In order to survive in 21st century, two things, maybe three things, you have to study. One is statistics. Even if it's taking a time, you should study statistics before graduating from University of Virginia. Second one is computer coding. You should learn computer programming. Are you doing? Yeah, great. You can find a job quite easily. And the third thing is Japanese language. And so, I said, if computers and robots will do what you are doing, we won't need doctors anymore. And then that medical professor said, no. We still need doctors for two things. There is a vegetated state person and connected to tubes or something like that. When you remove that tube, doctor must make a decision. So that is one thing human doctor must do. Second thing human doctors must do is to give sympathetic words to patient. Those were two things. Still human doctors are needed. So in the future, in order to become doctors, rather than high IQ, high EQ is more important. So probably medical school will change their admissions policy 20 years from now. Not intelligent, smart guys, but more empathetic, sympathetic people, because many things are done by robots and computers. And I think foreign language education is same. Like I talked to Wilson Sensei's students. Now there is Google Translate. So in the future, we don't need a foreign language classroom. Everything will be done by translation. But I said no. Even Google Translate advances, still a human connection. Direct human contact is most important. I will tell you, innovation happens when you talk with people with a different background from yours. So by talking with or by communicating and by working together with people who are different from you, innovation happens. As far as you are working with people who think the same way, innovation never happens. There is a sociology study. When you work with people with a diversified background, culturally, racially, innovation happens. So in order to do so, I think a foreign language education, also knowledge of foreign culture is really important. That's the value of foreign language education. And that way we can achieve the mission of universities. Thank you very much.
Wow.